Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe. Apologies if you've tuned in today for me dressing up as Maki Ito to celebrate this channel passing 800,000 subscribers. I hope you understand, but I prefer to do that on a day when I don't have to talk about WWE firing loads of people from their jobs. I don't know when that day will be, because they seem to be doing it every few hours right now, but I will do it as soon as possible, so please subscribe for that. Following the round of main roster cuts on April 15th, which saw names like Samoa Joe and the Iconics get released, and last week's NXT firings, which saw Velveteen Dream, Drake Virk and Alexander Wolf amongst others lose their jobs, yesterday's mass batch of redundancies took place in WWE's office staff, but not before one on-screen talent was publicly let go, with the company announcing WWE and Adnan Virk have mutually agreed to part ways. WWE thanks Adnan for his work. A release so early in his run, they didn't even have an official WWE image to use on the announcement. Virk became Raw's lead play-by-play commentator in the announce team shakeup following WrestleMania 37, despite having no prior wrestling experience. He was not good in the role, being panned by fans and critics alike, but it's a difficult position to succeed in, especially when you're thrown in at the deep end and you have Vince McMahon supposedly yelling at you constantly through the headset while you work. Virk lasted just 6 episodes. Virk had previously been a sportscaster for the MLB, ESPN, and TSN, proving it's not just NXT talent the main roster can ruin, but successful hosts from other major companies too. Virk had previously revealed in an interview, though, his commentating experience wasn't actually what got him the job. With most things in WWE, it's down to how tall you are. At one point, Michael Cole goes, "Your look is great," and I'm laughing and asking, what do you mean by that? And he said, "Your height. Mr. McMahon loves that because it makes the wrestlers look even bigger." He also attributed getting the job to his former talent agent, Nick Khan. Remember that name because he features a lot in today's stories, because he's quickly become one of the most powerful people behind the scenes in WWE. Virk tweeted a statement following his release explaining why he and WWE mutually agreed to part ways. "Thanks to WWE for a wonderful opportunity. The weekly travel, along with my other jobs, was a grind for me and my family. I'm grateful to everyone with the company, especially Corey Graves and Byron Saxton, for being such fantastic teammates." Virk also still works for the MLB show Change Up and hosts boxing events, implying that his schedule was too much for him, so he asked WWE for his release, and it was granted. But according to Dave Meltzer, the mutual parting of ways could be both sides Virking themselves into a shoot, as he's reporting Adnan's release was a company decision. As WWE have so far been unsuccessful to fully clone Michael Cole, they are having to look elsewhere for Virk's replacement. Raw's former lead play-by-play guys Tom Phillips and Vic Joseph are obvious favourites, but PW Insider is reporting former UFC and American Ninja Warrior announcer Jimmy Smith, who joined WWE for last month's NXT TakeOver Stand and Deliver, is also a possibility. Do you think Virk should have been given more of a chance in WWE? Let me know in the comments, because I'll be replying to people for the first 30 minutes after this video goes live from out of nowhere. And now, on to all the other people who lost their jobs. While Virk was the only publicly announced release, as he's an on-screen talent, WWE also reportedly made a ton of firings in their behind-the-scenes departments, with some reports having the number at least 36. PW Insider notes there has been shock and surprise at how important some of the names have been. Their advanced media group department, which would include the WWE network, has been extremely hard hit, being all but destroyed by the firings, with those that survived the cuts described as shell-shocked, heartbroken, and dreading the increased workload they will now inherit. This is particularly surprising considering that it didn't just come out of nowhere, but also that it was a division that grew greatly in importance and revenue for the company over the course of the pandemic. Apparently WWE had offered bonuses to staff just last week for employee referrals to get new employees, and now those fired are joking with gallows humour they should just refer themselves. themselves. The biggest names that have come out of the layoffs include WWE's Executive Vice President of the Advanced Media Group, J.L.R. Donlan, who has been with the company for 8 years and was named one of Sports Business Journal's 40 under 40 sports executives just last month. Content director James Wortman, who had been with WWE for over 11 years, whose Twitter statement reads, "This wasn't something he expected today or on any day." WWE website manager Adam Kirshner, who had been with the company for over 15 years, dating back to the start of WWE.com, and the associate producer behind WWE's successful Top 10 and Inbox YouTube series, part of the team that saw WWE's YouTube channel become one of the biggest on the platform and oversaw the network's last relaunch before it moved to Peacock. His exit was said to have shocked a lot of WWE staffers. Senior Vice President of Production Brian Pellegato, who had been with the company since 2015, which PW Insider notes that everyone loved working with and was seen as a very progressive, forward-thinking executive. One of those was Xavier Woods, whose tweet shows just how important these backstage names are. Without Pellegato, an unbooked me wouldn't have been able to hone my mic skills on the WWE app, second screen. I wouldn't have had a creative space to build chemistry with Big E and Kofi Kingston. I wouldn't have been able to create Up, Up, Down, Down. I wouldn't have the life I have now. And over in WWE Studios, the company's long money-losing movie production department, the film industry trade website Deadline is reporting the cuts were deep there too, impacting its film, TV, and social media divisions. The firings were described as a bloodbath to PW Insider, which was carried out via a brief call with WWE Human Resources at the end of the day. So why did all this happen? According to PW Insider and Deadline, staff were told a number of divisions were going to be folded together to be overseen by WWE's Executive Vice President of Television Production, that innovator of the nauseating shaky cam, Kevin Dunn. One reason for this is the firings at the start of the pandemic last April. WWE apparently realized they could run just as well and make far more money with far fewer people. With one source telling PW Insider, WWE have shown they can cut to the bone if needed and still get things done. And this is just the latest example of that. One specific incident was how WWE had two separate graphics departments for TV and digital. The company realized they can merge those two departments into one smaller one, presumably making the process far more efficient. And that's when we get to the name we heard earlier, Nick Khan. Khan, no relation to Tony, will now reportedly be personally overseeing WWE's international offices to keep them in closer alignment with WWE HQ in the US, with another one of the big firings being the Executive Vice President of International, Jay Rosenstock, after just 2 years with the company. It's another big power grab for Khan, who only joined WWE last August as President and Chief Revenue Officer, replacing McMahon's longtime right-hand people George Barrios and Michelle Wilson, whom he abruptly dismissed last January, reportedly because they wanted to keep pursuing the network as its own product, while McMahon wanted to sell the rights to a larger company. And that is exactly what Nick Khan did, managing the $1 billion Peacock Premium Network shift before previously negotiating SmackDown's $1 billion deal with Fox. I must admit, I like the way he does business. $1 billion or nothing. But after laying off so many people, how does the guy sleep at night? Quite comfortably, actually, as Dirt.com is reporting he's just bought a $7.6 million mansion in California. As brutal as mass releases are, they can sadly make perfect business sense, like consolidating two graphics departments doing the same thing into one leaner division. And in one glimmer of hope here, at least it's now, when the pandemic is easing, than at the start of all this last April, when it would have been far harder for those fired to find new work. But also, rather contradictory, efficiency can actually create inefficiency. If you'll indulge me for some business theory for just 1 second. There is a school of thought popularized by Nassim Nicholas Taleb in his book The Black Swan that a certain degree of redundancy, i.e. stuff that seems to have no practical use, is actually really healthy for a company's future growth. Because how many great ideas do you have when you're actually working at the task in hand? I'd assume hardly any. But in the shower, when you're walking outside, when you're doing seemingly inefficient things, that can be where the genius lies. And in a company so stale and creatively bankrupt as WWE, a bit of redundancy can be very healthy. Look at Xavier Woods' story, how it was the inefficient digital department that helped nurture the New Day and birthed Up Up Down Down. Look at the seemingly useless Talking Smack and how that actually relaunched the careers of The Miz and the Usos. Ethics aside, letting go so many young and talented backstage executives could actually end up being a bad business decision. Speaking of bad and ethically compromised business decisions, John Cena just pissed off China. In an interview promoting Fast and Furious 9, Cena said Taiwan is the first country that can watch F9. Problem is, China doesn't recognize Taiwan as a country. China recognizes Taiwan as just more China and comes down hard on any inference that Taiwan might be independent. And sadly, because large US companies like Disney and the NBA want that Chinese money, Cena is the latest person to apologize to their government, posting a video on the social media platform Weibo saying in Mandarin, "I made a mistake in one of my interviews. I love and respect China and Chinese people. I'm very, very sorry about my mistake. I apologize. I'm very sorry. You must understand that I really love, really respect China and the Chinese people. My apologies. See you." This has gone down very badly, not just in the United States, but also in WWE itself, with the Mat Men podcast saying Cena's apology is not going over well at WWE right now. Cena's classic WWE foe CM Punk, meanwhile, briefly updated his Twitter to read, "Taiwan is a country." Do you think John Cena should have apologized? Let me know in the comments. And now, here's Tempest with last night's NXT review in about 5 minutes.
Damn it, NXT, you're making it real hard for me to be negative on this show. That's right, ladies and gents, I am Tempest the Wrestler, back with another review of NXT in about 5 minutes. So this show opened with Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai taking on Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart in a match that will not only help decide who the next challengers for the NXT Women's Tag Team Champions will be, but also who the next challenger for Raquel Gonzalez's NXT Women's Championship could be. The babyfaces were ultimately able to get the win in this match, as Shotzi and Ember were able to hit their tag team finish on Dakota Kai to get the pin after Raquel Gonzalez was hit with a stunner and sent to the outside. Raquel Gonzalez was not satisfied with the beating she gave out during the match as she attacked Shotzi Blackheart, slamming her into the barricade and into the post after the match. Will one of Ember or Shotzi be the next challenger for the NXT Women's title? We'll have to wait and see. We then had the in-ring return of Bobby Fish, who also has new generic rock music. Man, the Undisputed Era members just got hosed with their new music. See, Bobby Fish and Pete Dunne had a great back and forth TV match that wasn't quite at the level of an NXT TakeOver match, but it didn't have to be. There were tons of great strikes and submission exchanges, with Pete Dunne ultimately getting the win with the bitter end. This is what I would consider to be a totem pole match, with Pete Dunne getting the win and just kind of showing where both of these guys fit on the NXT totem pole. Hit Row was in the studio putting all the champions of NXT on notice, and man, if they don't hold every belt in this promotion by the end of the year, I will be sorely disappointed. This is a winning act, guys. Back in the ring, Mercedes Martinez took on Zayda Ramir in a match that was probably the weakest of the show. Zayda Ramir still has a long way to go before she's a truly polished worker in the ring. That being said, there wasn't too much to gripe about with this, with Mercedes Martinez ultimately getting the win with an air raid crash. Martinez had said earlier in the show that she was on the road back to the NXT title after her loss to Raquel Gonzalez, but Boa was creeping around in the background. Little weird, Boa. This, of course, led to the segment after the match as Tian Shaw interrupted Mercedes Martinez's celebration, and when the lights came back on, Martinez's hand was marked. Days could be numbered. Next, we had the $1 million face-off with Cameron Grimes and the $1 million man, Ted DiBiase. Grimes wanted to know why Ted DiBiase was bothering him so much in recent weeks, telling him that he was his idol and taught him so much about being rich and being rude to other people but still having them like you, before saying that you should never meet your idols. Aww. DiBiase told Grimes that he reminded him a little bit of himself, but since becoming rich, he had lost focus. He started to say that Grimes needed to re-find his focus before LA Knight made the interruption, making his way to the ring, cutting a great promo, saying that that was $1 million man and this was $1 million opportunity. Grimes told LA Knight to get out of the ring before being hit with LA Knight's finish, and Ted DiBiase just saying that, man, Cameron Grimes will never learn. If this leads to LA Knight being managed by Ted DiBiase, man, that is just a total win. These two seem like they would be an excellent pair together, with Cameron Grimes being a great babyface foil. Indy Hartwell was looking for Dexter Lumis backstage, and she eventually found his little serial killer lair, and honestly,
Tempest views regarding Dexter Lumis have been deemed too controversial and have been hereby censored by the All Authority.
Censor that, Davis. We then got the in-ring debut of Frankie Monet. I really like Frankie Monet's music, but this was basically just a squash match. She took on Cora Jade, and Cora Jade was able to hit a nice side Russian leg sweep, but that's about all the offense she got in this match. Frankie Monet ultimately got the win with the Glam Slam. Whether this leads to anything with Beth Phoenix, we'll have to wait and see, but it's a nice touch. We got an in-ring promo from the new North American champion Bronson Reed, and this was pretty by the books. He talked about not giving up, chasing your dreams, and eventually becoming champion before he was interrupted by Santos Escobar and Legado del Fantasma. Escobar said that last week the North American Championship caught his eye, and that North America consists of America and Mexico. Forgetting anything there? Escobar said that the title belongs to him, and before Legado del Fantasma could jump Bronson Reed, MSK made the save. I really like this segment, and I also really like that Santos Escobar has now moved up the card after a very good run as Cruiserweight champion. That is exactly the kind of treatment you want out of a mid-card champion. If he is going to be a star after losing the title, he needs to move up the card. We had the announcement that next week there will be a triple threat NXT Championship #1 contenders match as Kyle O'Reilly, Pete Dunne, and Johnny Gargano will battle to see who will challenge for the NXT title at NXT TakeOver in Your House. That led to the main event as Karrion Kross took on Finn Balor in an NXT TakeOver main event worthy match. They did an excellent job in this match of making Karrion Kross look like an absolute monster while also making Balor's offense look effective. There was a lot of really good stuff here as they went back and forth for the entire match, with Karrion Kross ultimately hitting a Saito suplex, but not going for the pin, instead electing to keep stomping on Balor and trying to hit his running forearm strike. This is where things just got really great as they traded reversals and counters and strikes and submissions as Balor tried to choke Kross out with his own move before transitioning into a triangle, ultimately getting powerbombed out of it, and Kross locking in the choke of his own, with Balor passing out for the submission. If Balor is on his way back to the main roster, he had an excellent match to close out a very fun run in NXT, an excellent way to end an excellent episode of NXT. 5 out of 5, an excellent show, go check it out. Now that just about wraps it up for me, but before I go, I've got a number of plugs to hand out. So first, make sure to check out the NXT Review podcast with myself and Chopper Pete Quinnell. Make sure to pick up your LIW merch from WrestleShop.com, and make sure to check out Quizzlemania 35, where LIW captures the Quizzlemania Tag Team Championships. I will drag Pete Quinnell to a Quizzlemania victory if I have to.
Was just waste my goddamn time watching this horrible, awful show for idiots, and I'm an idiot that watches this show. Every single week, I'm an absolute mug who sits down and wastes my time with this show. The show spent 40 minutes and accomplished nothing. How do you do that? That's incredible. It's actually